right, let's try to swim through some of this garbage, baby, as always.
Love garbage.
First thing from you, which a little bit of a deeper thought thing. I do want to say that what we're looking at, I did think that that was death on the beach, hovering over like a dad and
Right,
his
you thought it
kid.
was
I thought it was like
a staged
you
photo or
shared this in
something.
the document, and I was just like, is this like an AI image of like death on the beach when you're in the water as some sort of like a omen or something? I don't know. Anyways, it is not. It is the man's wife in a burqa. I think the burqa is, yeah.
That would be, I believe, correct. Yep.
So anyways, what kind of thoughts, what kind of brain cells smashed together when you looked at this? What are you thinking here? What are you thinking?
So just to put, as far as I can understand, and again, this is just me gleaming from the comments, but people were commenting
Comments on this photo?
Yes,
Okay.
in this thread, this subreddit thread. People were saying this was in California, which I feel like adds an extra layer to it. And I guess we'll get more into that in a second.
Means. Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Well, because imagine you're in Iraq, right? It feels like the woman standing on the shore, dressed the way she is more compelled to do it there than she is in the United States.
Okay.
Right? Like, regardless of whether or not the person wants to, the expectation to is different in those two countries.
Yeah, but you can still choose to do it. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, sure. Sometimes at the cost of your own well-being, but yeah, I came across this on Reddit, obviously, and the title of it was just "Woman Watches Her Husband and Child Bathe," just sort of, in the shallow part of whatever, that maybe it's a bay or maybe it's a beach or whatever, and she's clearly just watching on, and I feel like
it sucks. She can't even go in the water that blows, dude.
Well, and that's the thing is like, well, okay, so just
yeah.
Maybe she doesn't want to. Maybe she thinks
fair.
that she should stay modest. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
You know
definitely.
what I mean? I feel like it's a little more complicated than just.
That's
she's
not complicated. That's
to.
just she's making those choices on her own. It's more interesting why she's making those choices because obviously you would think that you wouldn't remove freedoms from yourself and be happier about it, but yeah, you can still choose.
In the United States, you can choose.
Maybe no, I know. That's where the difference in Iraq and the United States is. Yes, we understand that.
That's kind of why I brought up right, like that context. That context does matter. But man, anything that compels you to just completely shroud yourself from just being present in the moment, to me, I don't like. I could look at this, say I didn't know anything about any religion. Anything. I just knew this was a father
but go ahead.
And a child and the mother just the way she is on the beach. And it would just be like, what happened? Like, why is she not... Shouldn't she be part of that moment? Like, what happened that she has to stay up on the beach? Like, that's just an odd thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, she's probably first and foremost devout to a religion and society and even bubble inside of wherever she lives, regardless of where she lives, whether she's at home or at church, all these things telling her this is how she has to be.
It just sucks. I feel like you just see this image and you just have to feel sorry for a moment, even if you had no context for what it was.
I do get that feeling too. I just I guess the question is why, for people in this situation, why do they willingly accept that, right? Is that kind of
But even if you do accept it, like, why does this have to be the way the dynamic is? It just feels imbalanced inherently, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a nice sunny day. 100%. Your husband and your child are frolicking in the shallows, just enjoying the sunshine, and you're completely covered with just your face, or even worse, just your eyes being uncovered, right? Like, it just, what, I don't know.
Yeah.
Regardless of the context, it just feels
You even
inherently
wrote in here,
unequal.
like, at its lowest manifestation, religion gives us obedience in a way that's like not good, like this. Well, not let's not say not good, but it's just objectively like takes away freedoms that we otherwise would have.
Hmm.
But yeah, you just do it because of social pressure. And you also wrote here, at its highest aspiration, religion gives people strength, guidance, and peace. And I agree with that, right? So like, she's not, you wouldn't think, and I know it can happen sometimes for sure, but a lot of time people accept the boundaries that they're given to live in, taking away freedoms, because they are getting some sort of like guidance, purpose out of whatever's putting them in that box, which like helps them feel better in that way, for sure. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm always with you, someone who tends to not be, like, I'm not even atheist. I just don't, like, there's no, you can't prove anything. I'm with you where it's like, you could still build, I feel like, some sort of, moral base and way to build a just society and keep your freedoms. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like the forcing of women to have to dress this way from the religion and male aspect of it is just simply a way of control and controlling. That's it. Because there's no justifiable reason in my mind that you would say you need to have basic freedoms you should have just be taken away, because by the way, that I also can have myself, but you are not allowed to have. It's like, in what way can anyone justify that other than, at the end of the day, it is about being able to have that control.
Yes. Whether or not that control is justified, you have to at least consider it, right? Because I think, like, people would argue that having a rigid, structured system gives us more guidance than, say, a secular system would, right? Like, if you were to have a religious but rigorous system that people adhered to, you would have a more condensed, like, efficient society than you would in one that's like secular and freedom of thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is a certain amount of value to buying into whatever the mainstream, like, ideas are, right?
No
Like,
doubt.
there is utility to that. I think that's why religion was so useful in societies, pre-modern societies. Very useful because it just, like, coordinates people sort of pulling in the same direction. And I think there's still an argument to be made about grounding people in a bigger sense, if you are religious, but there are fringes of those beliefs that, right, when you just sort of buy into a system that was just for the sake of how old it is, and that gives sort of a legitimacy to its
Who does that? That's bad.
beliefs. Do you not think that, though? Like, everyone dismisses
of course I do. I was being an asshole.
Scientology backhand, but
yeah,
do you get what I mean, though? Like,
yes, yeah.
if I were to go, like, here's Judaism and here's Scientology, I feel like most people would go, well, if I had to throw one away immediately, I know which one I'm throwing away. And it's because it's like a 60-year-old belief system. Like, I don't know. For some reason, the age of it gives it less legitimacy.
Oh, yeah. You mean if it's younger, it has less? Sure.
Yeah.
Of course. Listen, Jesus came to
Here we go.
Dude, I'm getting so old. I don't even remember the Mormon founder's name anymore. But he came to him in the
Joseph
woods
Smith.
of. Oh, there you go, Chad. You pick it up from here. The woods of God knows where in America. I don't fucking know.
New York, actually. Shout out.
Dug a hole, found some shit. Started
Golden.
I don't know. Anyways, they're pretty young. But they get
So
a little more
I
legitimacy
guess,
tying Jesus into it. They're like, oh, look, let's tie into. Go ahead, sorry.
right. So I guess my broader point is like there is utility to.
Oh, you didn't like my tangent?
Sort of adherence to systems, regardless of how they affect you, and like that can be a choice. But it just sucks when you see a photo like this, because I'm sure
Yes.
let's say the Muslim faith gives a lot of for this individual. It's very easy to assume that it gives them a lot of faith in the moment, faith in themselves, faith in what they expect, their role in society, and like in the greater realm of the universe is. Like it gives you very definite answers. And though it may shortchange your freedoms here, right? Like you have a broader understanding of your entire existence as a result. But for me, this baggage here is enough to just like spoil the whole quart of milk, right? Like it's moments like these that just make me abhorrent to the greater idea of like just obedience to a system for the sake of belief.
Sometimes it can boil down to just what are we achieving here? Like what are we achieving by making this woman or any woman wear something and carry herself in a specific way? They would tell you, of course, oh, well, she is serving the will of Allah or God or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she is like submitting to the will of, it's just like, okay, like what, but, you know, and then ultimately they'll tell you, oh, it's helping society and it glues together society and it gives you, it's like, but there's gotta be a better way that doesn't just crush people's ability to express themselves in any way they'd like. It's still not, you know. There is. It's called America. We're number one. Anyways.
Yeah, so I don't know. So this is these like to me when I look at let's say somebody who poses themselves as a motivational speaker. The first thing I like to look at that person is how are they in a personal capacity? How do they exist in their own lives? Like if you're a motivational speaker.
That's what you think? If someone tells me they're a motivational speaker, I just think they're just a fraud. But go ahead, sorry.
No, I don't think that's true. I think there's plenty of people that are I mean, I guess it's a little cynical.
It's fraudulent. Yeah, well, you're talking to me, baby. Come on now. You knew who you were pulling up to. No bullshit. It's fraudulent behavior, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Are there no self-help people who truly want to people help themselves?
I would have the same answer I have about religion, which is what I disagree with it, and I think it's fraudulent and weird. But yes, if people get benefit out of it legitimately, and they find purpose in it, I do think that that's good for people. Come on now. So yes,
I guess, but
I feel like it's fraudulent behavior. So in the future, if anybody's like,
everyone,
I remember you recorded that thing that 5 people listened to. And then they're just like, oh, no, I'm a motivational speaker. They're going to know. I'm going to be like, I hate you. Go ahead.
I don't think everybody in the self-help space is just a grifter, but I understand that cynicism.
Disagree.
Oh, man, that completely took me.
Yeah, sorry. That was a nice tangent, though. I'm here for you. But yeah, just again to end, it sometimes boils down at the end of the day when you see a photo like this. At least me, I think to myself, there's got to be a way that we don't limit people so much, but we can still stitch together, a just, a purpose-driven society. Can we do better than the way we do now? For sure.
Yes,
Because
we
I was about to
can.
say the moral of the story is don't worship God, worship money. You know what I'm saying? Anyways.
What is tough, though, because it feels like the impulse for worship, I guess if that's the word we want to use, is there. And to
Sure.
put that in a secular society makes it tough, right? Because where do you point that energy towards?
I worship me.
Do you get...
I would suggest everyone do the same.
Yeah, but no, because
man.
absolutely
I'm just
toxic.
fucking with you.
No, right. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, not
Of
everyone
course,
like
of
that.
course.
There's
of
plenty of people who
course.
don't even have that quote unquote like
That's where both of us would
divine
always say, like,
pull
people
or
would be like,
worship
okay,
element.
well, what's the answer to community if, like, religion ain't it with churches? It's like, that's a good point. Like, bringing people together
think
is a good thing
it's
because it
yeah.
humanizes us. It builds cohesion in your neighborhood and your society. You understand that most people are normal. You're not getting so caught up in like fake world online, stirring you up about bullshit.
Yeah.
And like there's no good alternative to a church. Don't know what that would be. Don't know. The PTA meeting at the school.
It is my greatest criticism for the drop off in regular community churches is that it does pick a bit at the social fabric. Which again, like, you don't want people just lockstep agreeing with each other just for the sake of community, but you do want people at least trying to participate in a community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You gotta have some
we can move past it. We're getting a little in the weeds here.
Listen, the weeds is where I live.
I know. It's just this picture just it made me sad. And I don't know that this woman even
it boils down to
necessarily...
worship. Don't worship God, worship money. Dollar bills, yo. All right.
I think just to put a bow on that, a better bow on that than whatever the fuck that was.
All right, go ahead. I support it, but sure.
Is that you and I would agree that if this woman who is standing on the shore here was truly and sincerely happy in everything that's happening here, then I have no issue with it. But
I don't but here's the thing. Two things can be true. For that individual, I don't. But for the greater like society, I don't agree with the decisions of where a woman might have. Yeah, yo. Both can definitely be true.
So, it makes me sad, but if you were to tell me that this woman was truly and sincerely resolved and happy in whatever the fuck was happening here, this dynamic, then okay.
Yeah, you put your hands up and you say no problem. Yeah, no doubt.
I'll try and maybe I'll advocate for a better way for you to, be alive, but, interact in the moment, whatever the fuck you want to say. But if they're convinced that this is it, then this is it. And good for you, and God bless. Just don't tell me.
I'm still going to fight the good fight in the greater society sense of pushing for people to have their full freedoms. Both can be true. All right, we wish anyone well who once again worships money. I just think that's the right thing to do. But
sure.
All right. We get to once again. Isn't this so exciting? Once again, we get to pretty much talk about, for the 3 millionth time in this country's history, the war on drugs and how it's so dumb. And the talking points are so weak. And you have some comments, so I'll let you take it away here in a minute. But part of them is you can always apply these stupid comments they make about anything to alcohol. Okay? So easy.
Yes.
And they don't bat an eye. All of them are going to go have a freaking Manhattan tonight at the hotel they're staying at that they're putting on the taxpayer dime. You know what I'm saying? We all know. We all know. And yet here they are, railing against hemp designed to be THC, correct? Is that what this is? It's not THC. It's hemp that is reworked into a THC. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, THC adjacent. Because hemp was made legal, and there's certain derivatives of hemp that aren't inherently THC, but they are. I don't know what the term is. I want to say isomers.
Repurpose them. Yeah, I'm saying they repurpose them into
Yeah.
It's like the
So it's
D8,
essentially
D9
this.
thing. Oh yeah, Delta 8.
It's a very similar compound that is very similar, just like minorly adjusted, and it has very similar effects on the brain. So it's
Mm-hmm.
basically weed. It's a little different, and by some legal loophole when they said hemp was fine. Delta 8, I think they called it, THC, was legal, and that's been a lot in the South. And it technically wasn't marijuana as the federal government had outlawed it technically, right? It was the same, I think, with do you remember spice, that bullshit they would make in a lab and
Oh
spray on just
yeah.
like chopped up
If I get
dry
cancer in the future,
herbs.
it's not even because of
Yeah.
all the other stuff I've done. It's because I smoked spice like 7 times. It was just disgusting. Like, oh yeah,
Right.
no doubt.
So a similar argument, but this is more natural because Delta 8 is just like a regular compound in hemp, and people found out how to sort of like express that particular molecule, and it does get people high in a similar way. So
Oh yeah.
Texas finally, after 3 years of this like loophole and Delta 8 THC popping up at like gas stations and people getting high off of it, they go, it's illegal. And I don't know if they banned like hemp too, or if it was just Delta 8. I can't
No, I
actually
think
tell
it's
if
just.
I'm
I think
honest. Do
it's
you
just
know?
the stuff that gets you high.
Okay.
I would think. Yeah.
So the press conference, they're like holding up, which it's so funny because you know what this press conference advocates for me watching it is just proper regulation with the market. Because he's holding up like bags of cereal and like stuff that's like it's underground, right? Because in Texas it's not explicitly legal, so a lot of the stuff being made is under the loophole and they're playing games and it's not as regulated, blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he's holding up like these bags of cereal and shit, and he talks about at some point some 22-year-old who threw themselves
Oh, I was
in
gonna bring
front of
that
a
up, dude.
train. Yep. But if anything, it's an argument to regulate the product rather than just have it be a legal loophole and let the industry figure it out. You know what I mean?
They don't care though. And that's what I love about this shit.
Right.
If you watch the press conference, he starts it and wraps it all up in the beginning around like underage, but then slips in from time to time also
Yes.
like, oh yeah, we don't want adults either doing it. Like he'll go through
Yes.
this whole thing.
Yep.
He'll go through this whole thing
Yep.
about we're doing it for the kids, doing it for the kids, doing it for the kids. And then like for 2 seconds at the end, he's like, also adults can do it. And then just moves on. You're just like, what the fuck, dude? Like...
Yes, because originally the video I saw was somebody asking, okay, let's protect the kids, but what about adults that utilize this as sort of pain management or whatever the fuck? And he goes, oh, don't get it twisted. We don't want this for adults either. Like, protecting the minors is the main crux of the argument, but really we're here to keep anybody and everyone from accessing
It's
this
like you're
shit.
trying to convince me that you care about this and you don't arrest Joe Rogan every day. He's famously a pothead, isn't he? And he lives in Austin, Texas.
Yes.
And he ain't smoking the D8s, bro. He ain't smoking the D8s. He's smoking whatever the fuck he wants. Cuz that's the way the world works. But yeah. Yeah, it's so dumb, man. When they zoomed out on all the products on the table, I freaking laughed. And I thought to myself, like, think about the intern or whatever that had to go pick all this up. You know, damn. Yeah, listen, like, you gotta go snatch all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I will say, I think
they walk in there all weird as shit, and the shop owner's like, because me and you have been in enough things and shops over the years picking stuff up or whatever, where like if you're weird about it, they'll smell that shit. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, you okay? Like, you know what you're doing? They're just like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to take one of everything. It's just like, that's really fucking weird. All right, like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that did make me laugh. I do think this is, if I were to guess, these are seized products by state police. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way they're sending an intern out
Fair. You
to
ruined
knock
that.
on
You
a
ruined
gas
that
station back door.
hilarity
I
in
know.
my mind, but that's
I
you're
know. I
right.
did.
You're right. You're right. It's
But
not.
that'd probably be my guess. But that is funny to think about. But yeah, there's obviously like, and I don't listen. Take this with a massive grain of salt, because I'm just
Sure
reading the
will.
top comments on this YouTube video.
Oh, here
But
we go.
people are talking about, donations to Dan Patrick from the alcohol lobbyists and donations from the healthcare lobbyists. Like, they don't want weed legal. They don't want blah 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 blah. Which I do think there's a little bit of that. I don't know if that's the main driving force
No,
for
I'm
this.
with you. These people just are old school boomer energy about drugs. That's
Yeah.
what it
Well,
is. Is that what you think
it's
it
just
is? Because it's not. Look, if he gets money
yes. Yep.
from alcohol and this and that, okay, fine. But I think it's not. I'm with you. It's more just like these people are fucking like just anti-freedom boomers of the old school, and that is what it is. So yeah.
Yeah, it's reefer madness.
Look at the
Just
fucking look at the crowd here. Look at the diversity.
I know.
The
Yeah,
beautiful diversity before your eyes.
True.
You know.
Wow.
Um.
Only 3 cowboy hats.
By the way,
Oh, wait,
someone said after the
it's 4.
conference. All right, yeah, everyone cleaned up. Yep, good. All right, who someone disposed of all the weed products, and they're just like we don't know where they went. We're not sure. Dan Patrick swept all that shit in a duffel bag. Took that home. Took that home. Telling you right now. Ridiculous.
I love
Ridiculous, man.
It's just what was just like so strikingly obvious to me was all the arguments they made here could be made with way more legitimacy against alcohol. So, like, if you're gonna make weed illegal, come on,
when the
right? Like, if
hypocrisy,
you're just
always
pound for pound.
Always when the hypocrisy
I mean?
is so like stunning and out there, it just it feels insulting. It does. You're just like
It's right. It's hard for me to sit there and watch that press conference and not think you're a massive pile of shit, because we all know that alcohol applies to every single one of these arguments to a much greater
look at
degree.
this too. It's hurting the alcohol sales. Can't have that. Dan of the rescue. Now again, I don't buy into the actual conspiracy of what this implies.
Well,
but I do. I have seen data. I have seen data that the rise of legal weed has made the like hard data alcohol sales go down in those areas, which I believe.
I believe that.
I believe that 100%, no doubt.
But it's just it's to me it's insincerity, because like I don't know that you're just buying into reefer madness because you saw a movie when you're 17 and you're a traditional conservative, or if you're getting donated $300,000 towards your next election by some sort of local distillery. I don't care what it is. The fact that I can take your argument and apply that to stuff that's otherwise very easily accessible, and you're trying to ban one and not the other, does not make sense to me. Yeah. Be consistent. You want to ban weed? Fine. You better ban alcohol, because that is objectively a worse drug and a more wider used drug. You don't want to ban alcohol, then what the fuck are we doing?
I'm about to disappoint you, because
go ahead.
All of these things are so obvious to me and you. Whenever we see stuff like this, the obvious hypocrisy, it's so dumb. It's the same tired old trope. Also, Dan Patrick, his nose looks mad weird, bro. I can't be the only one thinking that, right? His nose is something else. So his face isn't real.
Yeah, no, he's...
We talk about...
Do you know what a skinwalker
I got people that I disagree with who talk about demons in humans. Let's talk about this guy. This looks weird. Anyways, I'm gonna break your heart here. All the things we said are true. This stinks, right? They do all these anti-freedom things, and yet these guys win election after election, man. He's on his 3rd term. So let me bring out the cynicism for a second. You can have all these comments, you can have all this shit, this complaining, but these people continue to win elections in the state of Texas. Why? Like, that is sad. There could be some voter suppression. Someone could show me hard data on that, where I would kind of believe that from there. I'm not saying there is. I haven't seen that. But someone could show that to me, and coming out of a state like Texas, I'd be like, okay. But still, man, they're winning elections. It's tough, dude. I need the good, solid energy, the connected to reality energy, that we've seen this war on drugs trope 1,000 times energy to come out and vote, you know? I just sucks. I always tie this back in my mind eventually to like, dude, this guy's won elections so many times, and it just feels like it stinks. So it's true.
Sure. Yeah. I do think that this is actually going to be unpopular.
It's
for a lot of people who vote conservative.
You don't think?
In Texas.
You know, but this is a play by people that think that it won't matter and they'll still keep power, and they're probably right. That's what sucks.
Sure.
Sometimes you say to yourself, how could they do actually objectionably like unpopular things? It's like they either think they're going to take power or someone's doing shit because they're term limited anyways and they don't give a fuck on the way out the door, you know? So, it is what it is.
I do think when millennials fully realize their voting power, things will change. I don't know how they'll change. I don't know that they'll be better, but they will be different. And I don't think weed will be a problem. Does that make sense?
I guess I keep reading that my mans that are like 18 to 25 went heavily for Trump last year. It's like, really?
Yeah, but Trump's not going to come out and go, weed should stay illegal. It's not that Trump will make it, he won't make it legal, but I could imagine that idea would be unpopular for that base.
Well, I need someone who's not as back-ass-words as freaking Donald Trump to be able to speak to these people and get them to vote in a more reasonable way. So, it does get tough. It does. It's sad. Bernie's too old, which is a great transition here. To one that I wanted to hear what you thought. Tossed it over to you,
Sure.
And I think, look, both of us read the headline. Bernie Sanders blames election loss on Kamala Harris listening to billionaires over the working class. And we both agree. I want to say that off the top. I do agree with that headline. Like, I get it. But there is nuance. And we've gotten into this over the years, me and you, a few times, where you keep saying these things, Bernie, but you didn't win elections. You didn't. So we can talk about the same blame game that is correct over and over again, or we can say, how do we actually reach enough people to win elections? Because Bernie didn't do it. He didn't. Now you can say, oh, the Democratic primary was a little rigged, and he was an independent anyway, so it's hard to break in. But still, the way that he chose to run all these things as he's done over the years, he never won. So it's like, and that's not shade at him. We love him. I love him, at least. I shouldn't say we. I love him. I need more discussion around, like, how do you beat Donald Trump? How do you fight back against the worldwide rising tide of anti-immigration, right-wing leaning, right-wing heading? How do you fight back against that with good sound left arguments to get the left sounding like they should and more connecting in a way that gets you to win, I just read this headline and the headlines are designed to fuck you up, right? Obviously. I admit that. So I got. Folks, I got. But even the article just talks, and I guess the article didn't have too many quotes from him either. So I actually kind of felt like the article was, it was quick, like short. You said, and it snipped up only a few of his words. It's always a longer conversation. You never know.
Yeah.
But I don't care to talk about the fact that Democrats cozy up to billionaires. Of course. It's like, what are we going to do moving forward to win?
Well, so
by the way, let me end on one positive thing. I'll let you go. To me, one positive thing is doing an oligarchy tour for him and AOC. Like, that was good.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I agree. Yeah, but that's completely at odds with what kind of campaign Harris ran. And we have to be honest with what kind of campaign she ran. And she tried to stay neoliberal and tap into just the popular leftist vibe that is in the mainstream culture. So she paid Beyonce.
That's fine, and I agree with that.
Like I shouldn't say she paid Beyonce, because actually there's been a little bit of a.
Oh, I don't even care about that. Oh, stop! Trump's also a sleazebag about that. Give me a break. I don't even care about that.
She cultured the talents, let's say, of Beyonce
which is fine. Go ahead. Yeah.
But you don't think that's like not the fucking point? You know what I mean? Like, aren't
I
you
don't.
trying to draw the wrong energy? Because
Who
she had
cares
a
about who's introducing her? It's all about what she was saying to that crowd. She's just getting people into the crowd. Who cares about that? Because she would always have a speech after. You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares about that? I agree with you that she needed to. This is what frustrates me. Let me hear what you think of this. The right gets to just be not extremist, but gets to just say crazy shit that they'll never deliver on. Oh, we'll cut $2 trillion with Doge, and they're all fucking these smooth brain weirdos. They always get to be so extremist with their words about what they're gonna do. Why don't the Democrats do that? Say fuck you, Medicare for all. I don't understand. That's what I get frustrated with, and I agree with you. Like, who cares that Beyonce was introducing her? She should have got to that stump and been like, hey, guess what? Medicare for all, eat my shit, you know. Go hard into like over-promising and giving that vision, because the other side is doing it, and that's a bad excuse.
Sure.
But at least it's selling something in a more exciting way, even if you don't achieve that. You're not selling it in an exciting way. You're just like, hey, we're going to get into power. What are you going to do with healthcare? We're going to try our best to come to a compromise and do a little bit. It's like, no. No. What the fuck is that, dude? But yeah, go ahead.
Like it was with, what was it, Mitt Romney in Massachusetts with Romney Care? Right?
Yeah,
is that correct?
Yeah,
and they gave him shit for it when he was running against Obama in 2012. That was a point of attack. And then Obamacare ended up being very similar to what the fuck Romney Care was. It was like
it already was before the 2012 election. It already was before the 2012 election.
Yeah. But so anyway, so I guess yeah. I'm here for it. I am here for, because it does feel like Democrats, like Chuck Schumer, right? Like Nancy Pelosi.
No, they're horrible.
They play the polite political game, like it is just a harmless game. Which at this point, when you've been brought to the stakes that your opponent has brought you to, you have to just pay that energy in kind, unfortunately. Right? Like, Trump objectively just fucking lies about everything he's going to do on the campaign trail, pops into the popular pulse, gets pushed into presidency, and then delivers on fucking none of it. Now, I'm not saying do the same, but at least appeal to the populist message, which is exactly what Bernie Sanders did. And it's why he got as much movement as he did.
But we circle back to, but again, with Bernie and with Pelosi and with the boring old whatevers, we circle back to they either are losing or winning appropriately.
No,
like you keep saying, like, oh, Pelosi, she gets a freaking, and I see it every time because I donate to certain people or I'll tap into certain things around election time every 2 years. I see it every time. There's a legitimate, like, to her left challenger, and they lose every time in the primary. Every single time, homie.
Yeah, but listen,
and that's a problem.
Why is Pelosi the chair in the first place? If the power...
Because she has had her seat for decades. You got to win the election. You got to win the election. We can talk about what we hope and wish it would be. That's fine. But you got to win with the rules you have now to make that change. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's definitely a difference there, yes? You can hope and wish about what it should be. Shouldn't be old people running. Should be more other, whatever the fuck. But there is a way to remove these people by winning the election we never do.
Okay, but who would you select? Who do they select to lead the Democratic Party in the House? The safest chair. You know what the safest chair is? An electorate that never rocks the boat. Do you understand that, like, the significance of that?
No doubt.
Do you know where she comes from? It's a fucking suburb.
This is
why affluent Democratic suburb of San Francisco.
No doubt.
You're telling me that represents blue-collar America? Get the fuck out of here.
No, that's not what anyone's telling you. Take a deep breath, homie.
Right, but like,
stop zeroing in on one person. Zoom out. You gotta win elections.
The House Democrats for as long as I can fucking remember.
I don't know why you're huffing and puffing so much. What I'm saying is you got to win elections. I know you wouldn't disagree with that because that's literally what you have to do. And so, like,
right, but the fact that
take a deep breath and tell me what you would do then. If you could zoom out, stop focusing on one person. Stop. You're not wrong about that. Of course you're not fucking wrong about that. Focus in on how you would make change from the left in a way that you could win elections. How would you do it? Because Bernie's tried it and he's lost. Other people have tried it and they've lost. Go ahead. That's true, though. You say no to something that's fucking true. But go ahead.
That is true. That is true. Although you can admit that elections come down to closer margins than any of us would like to admit.
But it doesn't. But you still have to win them. That's okay.
And if anybody is in a position of power where you can kind of put your thumb on the scale, Debbie Weiserman Schultz, then you can move.
But here's the thing. Also, Bernie has put his thumb on the scale with his influence that he's earned with Biden to be a little more progressive. So that's who cares? We're not talking about putting. I know what you meant by that. But did she throw the election enough that he would have won? Look,
really quick. It's 2020.
Okay.
Bernie Sanders just won the Nevada primary for the Democratic nomination. Mm-hmm. What happens the Monday before Super Tuesday? Tell me.
I don't care because next time we need him to win. So what are we going to do next time?
You don't even want to talk about it? You don't even want to
because
talk about
it? What are we going to do next time? Because
a phone call goes out. Okay. In the middle of
I don't want to talk about it because I agree with you. Go ahead.
Every neoliberal nomination, Pete Buttigieg and the like, drop out and endorse Joe Biden all at once. Guess who wins the election?
Who cares?
What do you mean, who cares? That is a concerted effort to deny Bernie Sanders the nomination because they consolidated power behind a specific faction of the Democratic Party that was neoliberal as fuck, which is the reason why we keep losing to Trump in the first place.
Do we think that they broke any laws or rules by doing that? How about that?
No.
Is that a better way to say it?
No.
What can you do? Start winning hearts and minds like Biden did somehow by getting them if you're Bernie? What can you do? Because you say that they didn't do anything wrong. So then what can you do?
But you can appreciate the anger that would be behind
of course.
Losing to Trump not in one but two elections.
Well, first of all, Biden beat him. First of all, don't throw my boy Biden overboard. He fucking won. That's a W over Trump. Period. End of story. Because sometimes you get. But hang on, Biden did not lose in 24. I gotta set you straight sometimes. Let's say, you know what? Let's say even if he was on the ballot, he would have lost. I accept that. He won in 20. You minimize that. You like to hype up because you're too angry about this shit, bro. In my opinion. Don't take this the wrong way. But you're so angry about this, it clouds because you want Biden to be such a bad candidate that he lost in 20, and he wasn't. That's a fact because he won. Because he did. Why do you laugh at something that is true?
You're representing me.
All right, but Biden won, yes, in 2020?
Of course you did.
That's the only thing I wanted to represent. That's the only thing I wanted to represent from you. Go ahead.
Any Democratic candidate would have won.
That's not true. That's not true.
Yes, it is true.
You can't prove that, and I can't prove that. Let's be clear. But that's not true, in my opinion.
Any Democrat would have won.
No, that's ridiculous. You think Hillary Clinton would have won in 2020? You think Hillary Clinton would have won?
Yes. She might be. Fuck off.
That's not true, man.
You're the worst example. Not HC. And
I
maybe
will not.
Kamala.
I love that because, like, when it comes down to it, we have way more agreements on actual policy. But I think that you got some hate boner. You always have a hate boner for Biden. You just will. And the man actually won an election against Trump, the only one to do so. Actually passed an infrastructure bill. Actually passed a CHIPS bill. By the way, the infrastructure bill was pretty bipartisan. I don't know if you're ever going to see that level in the near future of bipartisanship.
I love the sphere of influence that existed around Biden. I don't love Biden.
What? Say that again?
And the only reason...
Fear of influence that what?
Sphere.
Oh, my bad. Sphere.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. I think that if Biden doesn't run again in 24 and he lets the democratic process take place, they don't lose to Trump.
How do they not lose to Trump? Because Trump. Let me say a couple things before you go. Wait. Trump literally, since the last election, Trump literally did January 6th and also got convicted of tons of felonies and got swept up in all kinds of fraud bullshit. So tell me again that all that hung over his head and he still won. How in the fuck he would have lost?
Because you had Biden.
What does that mean?
Did you watch the first debate? Did you watch the first? The moment the 24.
Did we watch it together? I feel like
the moment the 24 presidential election was lost to Donald J. Trump was the moment that Biden got on that stage with him.
But there's plenty of time for Kamala to sell, right? I don't. It's that's.
No, not enough.
You tell me. You make the claim. Why is that when it melted down? Okay.
Not enough for a female candidate. I'm sorry. You're talking about America.
Need this man to reflect on his Biden hatred. That's what we need this man to do.
I am not here to dismiss the work that Biden did legislatively during his tenure. I have a little bit of a gripe with the money that was spent, but I understand that we had the softest landing of any economy in the world.
I'm convinced. I'm a Biden guy, not a Bernie guy anymore. That's what I am.
I'm gonna kill myself. Is that what you want?
No, I'm just messing around.
You son of a bitch.
I'm just messing around.
Listen, he was more progressive.
I'm joking because I can always bring it back to the baseline of like, oh my gosh, like policy-wise, screwed over-wise too. Not just in 2020, but in 2016. Like, Bernie's our guy, no doubt. He got screwed over in 2016 a little bit too. Do you ever think to yourself when we talk about like this, he got screwed over?
He would have won in 16.
I do agree that
20 was his year.
We both do agree that nobody did anything wrong doing it, but we both agree that it's such a bad look and it's so nasty that a bunch of people got together and
the super delegates
in 2020 and like picked Biden when they all just like threw their support behind Biden.
Sure.
Yeah. So like, but we both know that that's not illegal. There's nothing like improper about that by the rules.
Not illegal.
All right, but hang on. Let me. We already talked about that. We're not doing that shit again. We already talked about that. Hang on. Let me finish.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And then, I think in 2016 is that when like Tulsi Gabbard came to prominence
because she like Schultz.
Yeah, because that was that time too. Yeah. But did we ever see any proof they did anything? I'm open to it. Was anything? Was there? Okay. All right. Well, I have no idea what that.
Right? Like political parties run their own primaries, so nothing illegal.
I shouldn't say it like that. That's fair.
Their thumb on the scale.
But how? Did you actually see how they were influencing? Like,
well, so it was
I know super delegates. Like super delegates were annoying as shit. Right. Yep. Because they could just pick whoever they wanted.
And by the way, they still exist, just to a lesser extent after the 2016 debacle. But B, it was the communication between the sort of hegemony of the Democratic Party and their media outlets. Okay. There was very clearly conversation between what should have been independent cable media and political parties.
Okay. And so was this in the realm of like, I can't remember when this was, but Donna Brazile gave Hillary Clinton debate question. I don't fucking remember, but it's something.
There's a little bit of that, but it was even when you talk about the I know for a fact the amount of exposure I got to Bernie Sanders in the 15 to 16 presidential sort of primary process was through online media, and almost none of it was through traditional media. Cable television just would not talk to Bernie. They wouldn't.
There's too much commingling and networking that's always happening between the powers that be that they can kind of not change any votes or legally do anything, but they can kind of just push a narrative in a way that stays positive for Hillary, more negative for Bernie.
Yes.
That's totally true. Because I remember being young and watching like those like OG YouTubers that would like I feel like Kulinski he's been around for so long, he was one of them that would like clip together how the media would bring up Bernie's policies and how they would frame it versus like a Republican or just like a corporate Democrat. And it was rough. It was always like, oh, he's gonna bankrupt the country. Less, everyone's gonna get laid off. Less money in your pocket. All the beautiful things,
So yeah, to me that was, and it's why too there was a small but very real pipeline of Bernie supporters who got disillusioned in 16 and 20 that went to the Trump side. Like that is a real phenomenon because it's the populist sentiment. But because it got shut down seemingly, at least you could frame it that way, on the left so much that it was, well, I'm going to go with the right-wing populist sentiment, which is Trump. And I still don't know how he's able to sell that with a straight face because he clearly does not give a fuck about anybody earning less than like $350,000 a year. But, yeah, that was a real swing, man. Like the anti-vaxxer movement even has a bunch of like Bernie bros from 2016 in it. And
Sure.
it's just because like there's kind of this vague anti-establishment sentiment that kind of bled over into like science and medicine and everything else, which is not entirely untrue, but to reject everything is obviously straight up not intelligent, to say not the word, that's not allowed. You get what I'm saying. Very highly regarded information being abused. So yeah, I don't know, man.
Dude. We'll leave it on.
I'm worried.
We'll leave
I'm
it
really
on
worried
this.
for the future of the Democratic Party.
Oh my God. What do you... That's putting it mildly. We're all worried for the country. You kidding me? Forget about the The Democratic Party needed to figure their shit out years ago. They never did. Here we go. Now we're gonna get it's gonna get real dicey now. The way the Democratic Party should have been and what they could have saved us from is long ago. Now we're just in it. We're just in it, and we'll see what happens.
Right, it's just damage control.
Also, reflect on your hatred for Biden. All right, let's go to Trump's.
Can I just say again, because apparently you just your ears just clam up when I say it. Biden was more of a progressive president than Obama was, and I will say that
that's true.
More so than Obama with 8 years. Just to be clear.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Although Biden did a lot for like the Labor Relations Board, we've talked about that.
Yes.
So you're
yes.
Right. Yeah.
So don't.
He's a union guy with the aviators. I'm just fucking with you, man. No worries. I'm literally just fucking with you, man.
Well, I just want to set the record straight.